against Southern, and off we go today over these 12.5 hours here on our ESPN family of networks. Elite scoring offense, 80-plus points per game as Raven Johnson moved it for Tanaya Latson. Good hands from Medina Okot at 6'6", couldn't score it. Edwards underneath on the second effort, cleans it up to start the scoring. Let's check out today's starting lineups brought to you by Capital One for Southern. It's a deep team, defensive-oriented. Maya Porter is their top scorer for a really well-balanced attack. Meantime, the starters for South Carolina, we talked about Joyce Edwards. We showed you Raven Johnson, the fifth-year senior with so much experience, as we get an illegal screen set by Okot.
Well, Dawn Staley talked to us in practice yesterday about she wants to get the ball down in transition and punch early to her post players. Take advantage of their size on the interior, recognizing those matchups early.
Our group with the layoff since playing in that SEC championship game 13 days ago. Southern, meantime, coming off a first 4-win here on Thursday against Sanford. Shot wouldn't go underneath for Demaya Porter, the sophomore who was second team all-SWAC. But the champions were a 4 seed there and now get a 1 seed in South Carolina. Edwards scores it again using that size underneath.
Well, and it's exactly what Dawn Staley talked about with her group. They want to punch it inside early. They want to take advantage on the interior. Again, this is a new core group for South Carolina, and where they have to continue to grow is half-court execution. They're going to have an opportunity to do that throughout the course of this tournament.
Raven Johnson with the pelfer, and then a push-off on Michaela Cunningham. Funches, 8th season as the head coach at Southern, and amazingly his 4th trip to the NCAA tournament as the head coach of the Jaguars, including 2 years in a row, 2 first 4 wins, 2 years running. Post entry and too strong on the block from Porter, and it does stay at this end of the floor.
Well, the size of South Carolina certainly was a concern for Coach Funches.
He'll go deep into his bench, and it is an elite defense. So much pressure. We saw that against Sanford.
Ball pressure, getting steals, turnovers, allow them to play in transition. You mentioned the depth that they have. They can continue to bring players in waves.
Working on the clock here to get it situated. They just had 20 on the shot clock. Now they've got it down to 11 as Dawn Staley pleads her case in discussion there with Tommy Paris. Off the baseline, out of bounds, drawn up to Zaria Hurston, who's had some big scoring games this year against elite competition. Like a lot of SWAC teams, it's a real battle-tested Southern squad. Shot clock winding down. Hurston didn't realize it, and a shot clock violation on Southern.
Battle-tested. Are you kidding me? Washington at Arizona. I mean, they went through the ringer.
It is incredible. This is a program that 2 years ago got a win at Oklahoma, an Oklahoma team that went on to win the Big 12 when they were still in that conference. Post-entry, Okot. The Kenyan underneath with a nice footwork on the reverse.
Yeah, good footwork. I think that's one of those plays that when you watch film, you talk to Medina Okot, you don't need to put the ball on the floor. You just need to turn around and score over that double.
The Mississippi State transfer has been great. Second team SEC, 13 points, 11 rebounds per game.
She's been great, and she's really just scratching the surface. I mean, so young when she was introduced to the game. Great skill set, size, strength.
She's got South Carolina out to a half-dozen-point lead. Tanaya Latson, the Florida State transfer, had it roll off, and Hurston clutches the rebound.
And I felt like missed an opportunity for one more pass. Okot open up top. And again, this is what Dawn Staley says. We have a team full of scorers. She's had a lot of different types of teams, right? A team full of scorers right now, and so helping them, there absolutely is. I mean, certainly she's an outstanding player and the best basketball ahead of her.
Both teams go to the bench, and Raven Johnson short on the jumper and pulled down by Destiny Dixon into the game off the bench for this deep Southern team as promised. A steal from Latson, who took it away from Cunningham and lays it in. 8-zip start for the Gamecocks. Dixon trying to get Southern settled. Underneath on the step through, Zylese Harrison had it roll off, and Dixon out of bounds trying to run it down.
And South Carolina just bringing the defensive pressure right here. Great hands by Tanai Latson, able to get out in transition. And that's one of the things that we have seen the evolution of the South Carolina program. They primarily, early in Dawn Staley's career, post-entry driven, playing in the paint, to now very guard-heavy, playing in transition. The fastest pace that this program and handling pressure, and Raven Johnson's experience in understanding time and school, understanding situational basketball. And I think for South Carolina to be able to play fast, Dawn Staley said, we've always wanted to play fast. We haven't always had the horses to do that. It gives you easier opportunities, and that's why you see the scoring numbers elevate.
Latson, too strong out of the corner. Alicia Tornaby's the offensive rebound. Latson missed it in close, but a foul against Southern underneath. Points per game, projected 13th overall in Michael Vopel's mock draft. 2,500 plus points in her career, but wanted to be a better pro, wanted to be a better defender in coming here.
Well, I think it says a lot about a player when she knows she's going to be challenged in a different way, specifically on the defensive end of the floor, learning how to play without the ball as Joyce Edwards active on the offensive glass. And you've seen the growth.
Well, how's this for coming out of the gates for South Carolina? Christine, Chene, and Andrea were talking about it in the studio. They wondered if South Carolina would just hit the ground running, and they sure have. Another steal, this time from Agat McKeer. Got it back from Tessa Johnson and scores it. Timeout Southern.
Textbook fast break, South Carolina. Sense of urgency.
Only losses this year to Texas early on in Vegas by 2. Late January in overtime against Oklahoma, and then that conference title game. Olivia Delancey missed it from deep, and Southern still trying to find its first points. Tanai Latson got hogtied on the step through by Harrison with her first foul.
Ready to go.
Good work from the corner there.
Yes.
Tanai Latson. For South Carolina from the housekeeping department, no Maddie McDaniel today, backup point guard who's out due to illness. Averages 21 minutes per game, so a little bit of a shorter bench for Dawn Staley.
And when you lose another primary ball handler, true point guard on the floor with no Maddie McDaniel, you're going to have to put the ball in Tessa Johnson's hands. Tanai Latson going to have to play the point as well.
Good to see Latson all smiles as she goes off to the bench. All right, if you're Southern, how do you settle in offensively and just get a bucket, try to make some inroads?
Yeah, I think Southern's got to try to get some in transition. That means coming with a little bit more ball pressure, try to get some steals or some runouts. I like that execution out of the timeout. Get yourself downhill. Jocelyn Tate is explosive off the bounce and a good slasher.
She's fast. She was the SWAC tournament MVP and was their hero in the semifinals, a dramatic late win. Tessa Johnson makes a living on corner threes. Tipped out of bounds and stays at this end of the floor of the game. Whether she likes it or not, Tournament Tessa plays her best in the big moments. Agat McKeer on the baseline out of bounds, drawn up by Dawn Staley. Here's Cunningham, the point guard who had a really nice game in the first quarter. Loose ball secured. She was at the controls of everything. Kept it away from McKeer. Now Tate, the sophomore, really aggressive, attacking the basket over these last few weeks. She missed it, and the rebound down to Raven Johnson.
Well, you see opportunity for Southern on the interior. Each one is highly contested by the length and size of South Carolina. So trying to find ways to get some that are more uncontested. Great find on the backside.
It's a couple nice passes out of the post from Joyce Edwards. McKeer couldn't pay it off. Pull up in transition, swirls down for Destiny Dixon, the junior from Foley, Alabama.
And I like that, trying to get a little bit more pace, find some open looks in transition. You don't want to get into a running game, so to speak, with South Carolina, because they can play with pace as well.
Post entry to Tornaby's. Around for Johnson. Too strong. And a battle on the boards, and it belongs to Southern.
You're playing a team like South Carolina that brings positional size all across the board, that can play equally as fast, bring as much pressure on the defensive end. You got to make sure your attention to detail is there. They like that play.
Delancey can step out as a stretch four. Took the contact from Edwards, but no foul called. And the Gamecocks run.
And I thought Delancey missed an opportunity to take the three.
That's what she does for Southern. Now a scramble situation, and it belongs to the Jaguars with a foul called against Isla McDowell.
Lineups, they can go really big, rest some of those guards. They can go small. They need to rest some of their bigs.
Hurston off the mark, but Dixon ripped down the offensive rebound. Hurston got bumped on the perimeter by Ocott and fouled. One at Ole Miss. That was the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, she really is one of those streaky offensive players, and they're going to need her. I mean, she was over 4 in the first 4 matchup against Sanford as well. Somebody who can fill it up.
And a super athletic player, Devani Lagway, initiating for Southern. Tate off the bounce, dropped it off for Porter, and had it blocked by Tornabese, and then a foul goes against Porter.
That's the over-dribbling that we talked about earlier.
First of our 2 games here today in Columbia, South Carolina. McKeer tried to skip it. Tornabese got it instead, and a foul underneath comes on the floor. Hey, coverage of the end. Looking for our first upset. There were a couple of close bids yesterday, including Colorado State. Nearly pulled one off. Tornabese couldn't haul in the pass from McKeer at a South Carolina turnover. Hurston taking Dowda off the bounce.
Well, you called it. Zaria Hurston has the ability to fill it up. I like the way that Southern's getting some elbow isos. They're looking to attack downhill, using good angles, using that quickness, and the zone has been doing its job. 12 points in the paint early for South Carolina. Good job of execution, getting a touch there.
A miss bunny, but then a traveling call against Southern gives it right back to the Gamecocks.
Yeah, right here, just seeing the matchup, attacking the feet, going soft off the glass.
3 years ago for Doug Bruno. She was teammates there with Anissa Morrow. Baseline out of bounds, and Raven Johnson got it back from McDowell. Very nicely drawn up. And now a 9-second difference between game and shot clocks here at the end of the first quarter. Tipped away by the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, and Raven Johnson just a hound. Our game trend so far, Southern started 0 of 7 from the floor, and since found 3 buckets. And South Carolina was blazing out of the gates. Hurston again yanked it back on Dowda too strong. And Tornabese down with a rebound. And the last shot of the quarter belongs to South Carolina. Out of the horns look, Johnson to the corner for McKeer. Off target. And McDowell can't get it off in time.